Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Midweek's Fix. Wolves Preview Special Take 74. Tonight we're joined by Matt, by Courtney, and by Dom. And tonight's show is sponsored by bookmakers.com. For all of your betting needs, please give them a visit. If you're looking for any help towards your fantasy football, they're definitely worth a go. For stats, who's injured, who's not, who could be selected, who's not. Just give them a look. Check out the show that's coming later in the week as well for the weekend's fixtures, which will be kind of lively. Gav will be hosting a show there with a Manchester United fan who I'm sure will be very tame and quiet and calm and reserved about the weekend's fixtures ahead. But for us tonight, we're going to be talking mainly Wolves again. Not that we're sick to death of seeing them at any stage at all, but Dom, let's start with yourself. Look, we've got Wolves this time, and at least we're at home. So, how are you Are you looking forward to it first and foremost? And where are you with Liverpool at the minute? With everything that's been going on recently.
I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the games, but where I am at the moment is we're just another result away from being back in the season again. Like you said, we've played Wolves about 65 times already this year. So it's one of them. And do we want to play these again? But I fancy it. I think we've sort of got to put our eggs in one basket. As much as Madrid is still mathematically there, we've also got to make sure that we actually get in the top four. And there's no way better than to start with 3 points tomorrow. I'm a bit tired of it, to be honest. I'm a bit tired of Wolves.
Courtney, they can be hit and miss, Wolves, but I think that Lopetegui's got them playing decent stuff. He's got a good bunch of players, and he actually bought well in January with Sarabia and Mateus Cunha. So I think this is probably going to be the best version of Wolves that we are going to get tomorrow night. But at the same time, we're coming off the back of 3 clean sheets in the league. And I know Palace was boring and horrible and shite, but Alisson was literally just a passenger in that game. He didn't have anything to do, really. So, I mean, you cover going to games a hell of a lot more than anyone else. What's the feeling that you're getting from people around when you're going? And do you think that the appetite is there within this squad to get into the top 4?
I definitely think with the squad it is. I do think, especially after last season, at the minute, the fans, and I say this quite a lot, the atmosphere at times needs lifting because it'll just drop off. And especially with teams like Wolves, when we're playing them, it's not a great atmosphere, and I always feel like that helps us. So I think if we turn up with the appetite for it, I think it'll help the team a lot. But it's one of those, if Wolves turn up on the day, they can be a really good side, and I think we've been lucky against them every time we've played this season, to be honest, because you had the VAR stuff in the FA Cup and that, but they've been really good against us, and obviously our performance hasn't been there lately.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, Matt, we talked after the Palace game, and nothing's really changed for me after that. I suppose the beauty of me coming off social media is the fact that I don't see the drama and the crisis and the bitching and the crying. It's like I've just gone to work for the last few days. I saw the financial figures come out today, so I assumed there was mini accountants everywhere having complete meltdowns about why we didn't sign midfielders. But after the Palace game, we both said, what in the hell can we do with this midfield to start creating more chances? And this week, for me, is shit or burst. It's like, if we get in. Wow, I'm back. I think.
Yeah, you went a little choppy there. Yeah. Yeah, hey. I can hear you. Oh. Well, we seem to have lost Kev. I'm going to kick him out, and I'm just going to answer That's me. That's not Kev. That would have been bad to just be standing here answering a question to myself to nobody. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I expected a big reaction after the Real Madrid game going into Palace. Like, I thought there would be a locker room talk, like Klopp doesn't seem like a throwing trash cans across the change room kind of guy, but it seemed like the kind of game to warrant that. And then you have your veteran players like Milner and Henderson coming back into the team. Like, all right, this is going to be the performance that gets us just stable. And I mean, we were stable at least. We made a few silly mistakes in the game that could have gifted a goal away, but we didn't lose. We got a clean sheet against Palace. Go forward. Like, it would have been horrific to compound the loss against Madrid with another loss in the league, and then all of our momentum is gone. With getting that draw against Palace, we can kind of just draw the line under the Real Madrid game and go, the Champions League just isn't for us this season. Let's not worry about it. Let's focus back on our league form, And that's what I got in the last couple of days, listening to pods and stuff like that, and guys on the channel here talking about it, just being like, if you look at our form in the league and you take the Real Madrid game out of it, we win this game. We've got 10 out of 12 points available. We're going into United with 3 clean sheets on the spin. Like, there are some positives to build from, but I'm having a tough time doing it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. So, like, this will be like fool me 29 times. And it's just getting hard to see. But at some point, I still believe in the quality of the players that we have, especially going forward, that we just can't continue to be so anemic at the front end of the pitch. And eventually, Mo Salah is just going to have a game. He's going to have that game that rewards the people that put him back into their FPL team and throw the captain on him, because nobody else that they're playing. Like, if I went with Salah in my team and he had a good week, I could do real good in my small little friends league I've got, because everybody's bailed on their Liverpool players. And I really thought he was going to have that game against Crystal Palace. We go there, we win. I think we'd won 7 in a row at Sellers Park. We normally score at least a few, except when I watched Liverpool play Crystal Palace at the start of this season, where we only got the 1. But so it was really disappointing. So, I mean, it hasn't worked yet, so let's give it another try. This is going to be the game. We're going to see a reaction in this game. Fool me again.
Well, as it stands, sorry about that. My internet's playing right up tonight. As it stands this season, look, we've played 23, 10 wins, 6 draws, 7 losses. But our home record is actually okay. So Dom, do you think that Klopp would look at maybe playing a 4-4-2 or playing 4 forwards with 2 holding mids?
No. No, I don't.
Should he?
He should. He should. Personally, I mean, I get hammered for this, but I'm a lover of 3-5-2 when you've got wing backs in the positions that we've got that are that good. Now, probably don't need 3 centre halves against Wolves at home. I'm going to say it there. However, I would like to see us play more attacking. I'd like to see more players up there. He should gamble. He should try it. He should try something different. But we all know it's going to be a 4-3-3, and it's going to be a pretty similar side to Palace. I'd like to see an extra attacker up there and just go for it. Have a go. We need to go for it now. I think we're in that situation where we can't afford to drop any more points, especially at home. Wolves, I'd say, kicked our arse in the FA Cup at home, and they were lucky. We were lucky not to come away being out the competition before we played the return leg, or the replay, sorry. So, yeah, I'd like to see something different. I'd like to see us surprise them, not play the same way. But, Klopp doesn't tend to do that, so we'll see.
Well, the 3-5-2, Matt was absolutely jumping out of his skin. Someone finally said it, 3 back. The thing is,
it started as a joke, but I mean, everything else hasn't been working. So, I mean, we just don't have the bodies for it now, because I don't think anybody wants to see Joel Matip, Nat Phillips, Virgil van Dijk, 3 at the back.
Yeah, Kanate is back tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, but the other thing is, when you're playing a back 3, especially in this day and age, you don't need to have centre backs at centre back. It's quite common to have one of your 3 centre backs is a fullback. So the idea of playing a back 3 with a Fabinho, Virgil van Dijk, and Ibu Kanate in your back 3 wouldn't be alien. And Courtney, one guy that hasn't kicked the ball in anger in a long time now is Costas. He's like your guy.
Yeah.
Is he fit and available first and foremost? Do you think he should be coming into a Liverpool side at the minute? Because for all of Andy Robertson's up and down the wing, and I think Andy Robertson's doing okay, he's just nowhere near his level. And
Yeah.
I just think if you're going to play Costas, I think Costas should come in personally, especially if Darwin starts through the middle.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how would you see that? Do you think?
Yeah, I
we
agree
should
with
see
that
it?
because I think when I've seen Simi and Nunes playing together, they seem to have a really good link up. Like, I think attacking wise at times, Simi can be a lot better than Robbo. It's just the defensive side that can let Simi down. But personally, for me, I think this season, and I said the same last season, I like how Klopp's loyal, but I think that lets him down sometimes, and he sort of should maybe look at not necessarily taking Robbo off for the full game and putting Simi in, but maybe early in the second half subbing Simi on and giving them that bit of game time and sort of also letting Robbo then have that rest, especially with like the big games coming up, like obviously United, and then we've got, when we come back after that little break, you've got City, Arsenal and Chelsea coming up. So I think we need Robbo at his best for them.
Absolutely. I mean, Matt, I don't think you'll see a back three, not this season anyway. I think it's possible, but I think if we see a back three, it's when all else is lost.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be out of Europe, and it would be, look, just try it and suck it and see kind of thing. But I definitely think there's a case for a 4-2-3-1 with the forwards that we have available now, especially the fact that Jota has played an hour. Gakpo has played, Bobby's played, Darwin to come back in, Mo's there, Harvey Elliott's there, Carvalho's there. It's just, what would you do tomorrow night? Bear in mind, I think, look, Wolves' last game, they went 4-3-3. This is their lineup, okay? And I don't think it'll change. I think it'll be pretty much the same. Sango, Semedo, Kilman, Dawson, Bueno as back four. Lamina, Neves, and Nunes as your midfield three. And I don't think that they'll shift around much. Sarabia, Jimenez, and Cunha as a front three. So two forwards that tuck in tight to Raul Jimenez, looking for knockdowns and flick-ons and what have you. And you'll have three stubborn centre mids who don't really get in front of the ball. I mean, how do we set up to counter that?
Yeah. I would like to see the 4-2-3-1. Like, I don't want to jump ahead to lineups, but I think Harvey Elliott starts. I think Harvey Elliott comes in the midfield and he plays with Fabinho and Bajcetic. So I think it naturally, if you just think about the types of players they are, you think Fabinho and Bajcetic are both kind of sitting sixes, and Harvey, everybody wants him to go forward and to be more of that 10, maybe on the wing sort of thing. So for me, if that's the midfield three that comes into the game, I could really see that working. And I think it was the Everton game was the first game that Fabinho and Henderson played with Bajcetic in the midfield. And I found in that game, if that's the game I'm thinking of, that Henderson was almost playing as like a quasi 10. Like he was really pushing forward and Bajcetic was sliding in. Fabinho was going out to the right. So we were kind of molding into a 4-2-3-1, when we were trying to press and things like that, because Henderson was just kind of harrying all over the place. So I would like to see that, because like Cunha for them has been good. Sarabia is a bit of an unknown quantity, having just come in. Apparently, Cunha might be a late doubt for the game. Premier Injuries here has him as a 25% chance for tomorrow. So, I mean, that would mean Big Greasy would probably come in, and he always causes the problems that you're going to get with the Dom and Traore. But, yeah,
We just floated across himself.
Yeah. We just need, like, Darwin Núñez coming back in is going to be humongous for us, because the Wolves center halves, they've been very good this year. I mean, stalwarts. I'm a big fan of Nathan Collins. You didn't list him in. Was he?
He didn't start at the weekend.
Yeah, I was about to say, you didn't even mention his name. So,
he didn't start.
Well, maybe he's had his nose turned by Liverpool, and he's going to come to us in the summer, because I would very much like that for us. Kilman and Greg Dawson, not the fastest. Not the fastest. Hugo Bueno, kind of an unknown quantity, and Semedo. I don't know. I watched Semedo play in some of those games where Barcelona got absolutely slaughtered in Europe, and he did not cover himself in glory. And in the game against Barcelona, he was just horrific. And so we just need to get some pace and put it in behind. And like I think one of the quotes from Klopp after the Palace game was like, "We tried one ball over the top and it didn't work, so we didn't try it anymore." Of like, well, let's go back to just trying that. Like if we got Darwin Nunez playing on the left wing, let's get him in behind there and let's just put Nelson Semedo under the cosh early on, because we should be able to win that battle.
Dom, how important is tomorrow night? In all fairness, it's like you look at the table, we're actually not in a bad spot. Given the fact that we're on a horrendous run, we're the worst season in donkey's years and everyone's roof's falling in. We're not Chelsea. It can always be a lot worse than what it is. We're not far away. We're not as far away as what people think. I don't think.
No, 3 points behind Fulham. When tomorrow we go ahead of them, and then you move into sixth, and you're thinking the season we've had so far, how on earth are we sixth? But it just shows how bad the actual Premier League's been, in my opinion. Other than Arsenal, City, maybe United, everyone else has been average. Maybe a couple of standouts, like Fulham and Brighton. But in terms of the Premier League, we're talking the top 5, the top 6 of every season. It just hasn't been the same, has it? It's a big game tomorrow for me. I'm not into the idea of rotating this and that. I don't personally see the point, because we picked the injuries up along the way, regardless of whether we've rotated or not. 3 points is massive tomorrow. Get you sixth. You go into United. Then what? You beat United and you're immediately ahead of Newcastle, depending on how they get ahead of City. So it's a big week. 2 big wins, which is going to be tough, but 2 big wins, it puts you in with a shout of top 4, because I can't see top 4 being cemented by Tottenham. Definitely not.
No, it's almost a case at the minute. Tottenham, as long as they keep Antonio Conte away from the dugout, are doing flying.
Yeah.
It's almost written in the stars. The Conte comes back and the nerves kick in again. I don't get it how Spurs are where they are. They're just a bang average side. But Courtney, I watched a fair bit of content yesterday, different people, and a lot of the conversations was around Trent. And some people think he's got an attitude problem. I don't. I think he's got a frustration problem. How do you see the situation with him at the minute? Because he came off on the hour, but he could have come off 10 minutes before against Palace, because he looked like he was running through mud. He looked like his legs were just completely gone from under him. And there's nobody else. There is where ordinarily you'd have Joe Gomez could come in and cover right back and give him the odd rest. At least on the other side, you've got Costas that can help Robbo out from time to time. There's nobody there now. And it is Trent's position, and that's it. How does Klopp manage him? And how do we try to get the best out of him going forward for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think with Trent, it is a tough one. I think beginning of the season, we all thought, brilliant, we've got Calvin Ramsey. We don't need Milner to trot back and cover Trent when it needs to happen. But yeah, it's a tough one with Trent because we haven't got anyone to push him. But as for the attitude problem, I don't think he's got one personally, but I do think he has a bit of a, if things are being badly said about him, and then he'll have one moment where, I can't remember what game it was, but he scored that goal and he sort of just done
early in the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, he done the shrug like as a celebration, as if to say, what's all the trouble about? And for me, that was a bit like, yeah, you've scored, but then after that, you went on to make a mistake in the game. Don't get too like cocky that one goal is going to fix all the issues, because defensively we need you to be there.
I think again.
But yeah, I think hopefully next season. I don't know how long Calvin Ramsey is out for, but I'm guessing with the surgery, it's going to be at least next season that we see him, and then hopefully we start again and Trent can get a bit of competition for his role.
Yeah, I've got internet problems again, I think. But what if I'm still here?
But I just want to jump in on the Trent thing if I can, Kev, because I
Yeah.
came up with a little bit of a theory watching the Crystal Palace game, and it's in its early stages, so just bear with me here. But you know how when we as Liverpool fans see Bruno Fernandes do anything, it just makes our blood boil because he has one of those faces? I think Trent might have one of those faces. And we're now just starting to see it because his brilliance is not shining through this year. Like when he's playing spectacular, you don't care what nobody's talking about his body language when he's, putting up 12 or 13 assists in a season sort of thing and scoring free kicks. Nobody cares. Everything's good. But when things are going bad, people start looking for body language and the look on his face. And I just think he might just make facial expressions like that people are like, what the hell is that face for? And he's like, I don't know, I didn't mean anything by it. Like, it's just, I just worry that he might have one of those faces. Just a thought.
Courtney?
Nah, I don't agree with that.
I just thought
As the only female in the chat, I don't agree with that. He's got a face you could just hit. Fernandes, yes, there's a lot of players I could name in the Premier League, but not Trent.
I kind of get where you're coming from with Trent with his facial expression. I think he says a lot without saying a lot.
Mhm.
His level of frustration goes from 0 to 180,000 in the space of 30 seconds when he looks to play a ball and there's no space or there's no one moved for him. And the levels of frustration on his face in the first half of Palace, you had the throw in halfway through in the first half. They played a triangle. The ball ended up back with him, and he had nowhere to go. It was like nobody moved. There was no movement from anyone. And he literally almost, if he didn't under his breath say, I can't do this on my own, lads. You got to give me options. And that's what it felt like watching him. It's like he knew what he wanted to do, but every time he picked his head up, there was nothing on. It was the most frustrated I've seen him in a long time. And I think that transmits through his facial expressions and the shrugging of the shoulders and the waving of the arms. Henderson's more vocal, and you see it in his voice when he shouts and roars and balls at people. But Trent doesn't do that. But when he does now and again, it catches people's eyes. I mean, Dom, he's probably going to be judged harsher than any English fullback, I think, in my lifetime, because of his extreme ability going forward.
Yeah.
And the appearing lack of defensive ability. And I don't think that's there, because you look at the people he's been compared with, it's like England have never had an abundance of fullback talent that they have at the moment. And I think how do you see it with him? Because I know how I feel about Trent at the minute, but how do you feel about him?
Well,
And what does he need to do going forward?
Yeah, well, let's not mistake ourselves. He's probably the greatest right back England have got, the best right back England have got. Attacking and the defensive criticism that he gets. Listen, I think personally it's over the top. When I see him, I tend to find he switches off more than he actually makes bad decisions. So let's say for Palace the other night, he switches off, they bully him off it, play it across the goal, and you're thinking, come on, you're better than that. You don't need to be like, you need to switch on. If the ball's not on, just get rid of it. And I think that's a lot throughout the whole team. His ability is there for everyone. And if, like you said, he's basically a quarterback at right back. Let's get into that type of thing, because he's playing balls, looking for people in space, looking for the movement that he's used to. But unfortunately, this season, we're not playing well. So that ball's not on. That was there before. Now let's take it back to the derby. Trent and Salah, the coordination was back again. up and down the line, Trent was overlapping. He hasn't overlapped all season.
No.
And I don't know whether that's because of the mindset of you should be defending or you're not good enough defensively. I don't know. But when he was bombing up and down the line and we had that right-hand side pretty much nailed on, he looked back to his best. So it just felt again, when it went to Palace, it was very rigid. The side looked a bit nervous again. I don't understand why. If it kind of felt like we come away with, a draw's a good result mentality more than anything. There was no real risks. So, yeah, I think the criticism is over the top. And I'd love him to prove people wrong. I would, because he's got everything. He's got absolutely everything. I don't want to see him move to midfield because he's one of the best right backs in the Europe. Never mind anything else. So why move him into a position that he's accomplished? When he's a kid, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, I understand everyone's argument because he's done that before. But play your players in the best positions.
Well, I see a lot of the comments in the chat about where he ranks, but for me, he's a top tier fullback. He really is. Reece James is a wing back, or as Chris was saying last night when he was on with Pete, he's a wing back, or he's a right-sided centre back in a 3. He's not a fullback. He gets caught out of position too much. Kyle Walker's pace bails him out of God knows how many troubles defensively. But I think to complement what Trent gives you, we don't have that in midfield anymore. We don't have that right-sided centre midfielder in the squad at the moment that allows Trent, Courtney, to do what Trent does. Who addresses that in the summer? Because the obvious one, I think, is there for anyone to see is Jude Bellingham. But is there anyone else that you've seen that you would think, yeah, you know what? People are sleeping on this guy and we should be looking?
Personally, for me, it's just Bellingham.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I don't watch many other teams when it comes to footy, but I've watched the England games with Bellingham in, and I do really like him. And I've seen a little bit of his Dortmund stuff with my brother. But I think what helps if we do get Bellingham is I don't think there'll be a massive wait for him to settle into the team and create a link up with Trent, because they've got such a good relationship with teams already outside of the football. And when they do play football now and again for England, bear in mind it is rare Trent gets a good game for England. I do think it would be promising. It's just with our current form, I don't think we're going to get Bellingham, if I'm honest.
I was going to ask you, actually. Well, I'd ask yourself and Dom, you can take your turns because you guys live there. You're closer to people who are match-going fans than what myself and Matt are. How are people talking to you guys about this upcoming summer and the possibilities of signing a Jude Bellingham? Because personally, I think wherever Jude is going, I think it's done. It's already decided, and because I don't think a player at that level is waiting to the last week of the season to decide to flick a coin and say, okay, I got this, and this option. I personally think it's done, and I just think, is anyone confident, or is it like what you're saying, Courtney? It's like if we don't get Champions League, that's it, it's done. We can't get it.
I don't think, for me, it's not just getting Champions League. I do think that's a massive part of it, but I also think it's one, trusting FSG to put that sort of money out at the minute. I've got no belief in them anymore to put any sort of money out like that. But also I do understand their done deal side of things, and I do think if that is the case, it's definitely us that he's sided with, just off all the stuff that was said over the World Cup, and obviously the stuff that's being said apparently with his parents and that. But yeah, there's still that little bit of me that's like, I just can't see it happening at the minute just because of how we are. But I suppose I hope that I'll get proven wrong with that when the summer comes around. But we just have to see if FSG are willing to put their hand in the pocket as well.
Well, Dom, on that one, do you think? As it stands, we've got 4 senior players leaving the squad this summer on a free. Bobby Firmino, James Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita. Those 4 are out of contract in the summer. So that's 4 senior players that have to be replaced in this upcoming window, irrespective of Jude Bellingham or anyone else. You know, that has to happen. And one of those has to be a homegrown player. No, sorry, 2.
Yeah.
2 of those have to be homegrown players. Who would you like to see coming in?
I think 3 of them are nailed on. Like from what I can see, 3 of them are nailed on, and that's Jude, it's Mason Mount on a cheap deal, and it's also Nunes from Wolves. And the 3 of them will provide everything we need in that midfield: legs, creativity, good passing range, aggressive. The legs that we need in Mount. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a massive fan of him, but I also feel like he adds something different to that midfield that we've lacked. You know, getting into spaces, a little bit of creativity, a bit of flair. We're massively lacking in creativity in the middle. I think Jude is going to come in, take the number 8 shirt, not even let Keita get out the door. I think that's already done. I think this has been done for months, by the way. We're just all getting conned. The way I see it is the FSG side of things, the way it come out, the talk of the investment, John Emery doing an interview the other day, that investment's now enough done. And they know it's a big summer. Klopp saying it's a big summer. And when he says a big summer, that to me stinks of it, that something's going to happen. So that I think it's done. I think it's done. And, you know, if it's not done, I'm cancelling my podcast. I'm never doing these shows again. I've had enough.
Matt, so Jude Bellingham, Mason Mount, Matheus Nunes. I firmly believe that Nunes was one that we wanted to do last summer, couldn't. Convince Wolves to take him like on a loan, that we will, whatever you pay for him, we will give you whatever his wages were and a fee, almost like for bringing him in for the year. It was almost like a glorified loan that he's gone to Wolves for a year. But we need more than that, because I think Kelleher goes. And I think we need a forward as well. So we've got £7.5 million profit before tax, Matt.
That's right. We're gonna have to be shopping in the Everton aisle, apparently. It's Damari Gray and Andros Townsend on a free.
Watch that mouth out.
You're the one talking about signing Mason Mount. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. He feels very samey to some of the younger players that we already own at the team, and Harvey Elliott and Fabio Carvalho. Yeah, Fabio and Harvey might not help us as much for next season as Mason Mount would, but between the cost of the transfer, because it's not going to be cheap. You're not going to get him for cheap. 40 million, 45 million probably.
It's quoted now between 25 and 30 because he's got a year left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still
25 and 30 is a bargain, I think.
Yeah, if you can get any English like international midfielder for 20 million, just about you just buy him just to fill the quota out, basically. But I don't see that happening because Chelsea's going to need money. Like at a certain point, like Chelsea's going to get absolutely taken to the cleaners for Lukaku, and you know, a couple other players that they're going to have to take big hits on, and they won't want to do that with a homegrown kid. I mean, even though it's pure profit with Mason Mount, but to me, he's a bit samey for me. The goalkeeper thing, I think it's going to be one of those 35, 36-year-old veteran, like a Tom Heaton, like Lonergan might be available still. Is Andy Lonergan kicking around?
Is that Everton, isn't he?
He's at Everton this season.
Is he actually? I know he was at Everton in the past. That's
he can fuck right off.
He's got to
carry us back.
He's got but yeah, I think the backup goalkeeper thing, it's going to be one of the kids from the academy. I think if Kelleher pushes for a move or asks for a different challenge or whatever, the club, as we've shown in the past, we're not going to stand in a player's way. You know, Sadio Mane, you make it known that you want to move on, adios. You know, out the door you get. We'll get some decent money for Kelleher coming back in. I'd like to think that one of the kids from that little assembly line they got running at goalkeepers at the academy there, bringing Taffarel in and having all these, like we got 3-4 keepers all kind of around that same like 19, 20, 21-year-old age.
Yeah.
One of them has to be ready to step up and take that place. It'd be great if it was Harvey Davies, just because I think we should try to collect all the Harveys. Like Harvey Barnes might be a good option. But I mean, he's a Scouser. I believe Tony Warner, the last Scouser to play keeper for Liverpool. So that would just be nice just for that. But forward, I don't think we need anybody. I've been listening to a couple of pods talking about this, and Mo Salah doesn't get hurt. Now I've absolutely fucking jinxed this for the next season, but he doesn't really miss games. So there's your right side lockdown, and then you can feather in whether it's going to be Cade Gordon or Ben Doak to pick up, some cup games or some late 10, 15-minute sub appearances. I think Firmino might get another year. I think with all the work that needs to be done in the midfield and with another defender needing to come in, I think they might just go, hey, Bobby, will you take a 20% reduction on your wages, stick around for another year, and then you're free to go at the end of that. I think, and I can see that happening. Like Firmino, he seems extremely well settled in the squad. He's been there longer than Klopp has. Like he's been in Liverpool a long time. So, his kids are going to be in schools and have friends and stuff like that. He's got Alisson and Fabinho for now in the team with him. So I can see him staying. So I don't think we're going to do much in terms of a forward, but it's just a matter of the midfield. And I don't know what you do, but I think Bellingham's in the bag. And Sam Tandy had that comment there that if we weren't going to be getting Jude Bellingham, the club would have been getting ahead of the story already, because they know that the fan base is going to be like suicidal if we don't get Jude Bellingham at this.
I actually think that's a really fair point, to be honest. I think the club would have nipped this one in the bud really quickly if they thought for any reason that this wasn't either we're in the shake-up for it or we're nowhere near one of the two. I think they would have nipped it in the bud. One of the someone in the comments just made a comment there a second. Apparently Diaz in the embargoed section, Diaz will be back in team training in the next 2 weeks. Look, I don't think Diaz kicks a ball in anger for another 4 weeks. Not on a pitch anyway, but with the way things are going at the minute, it looks like the Fulham Paddy's weekend game is going to get moved. So we've got Wolves tomorrow night, Manchester United at the weekend, Bournemouth away, and that could be it for March. You know what I mean? And so you could be looking at bringing Diaz back for April, which is going to be a nice boost with about 11 games to go. But at the moment, as it stands, we've got 15 games to go, 45 points to play for. And we're sat at the moment on a grand total of, I think, 36.
Yeah, 36.
36 with 45. That's shocking. That's fucking shite. But 36 points on the board with 45 to play for. How many points do you guys, Dom, I'll start with you. How many points do you think we need to get into the top four, given the season that's in it? Ballpark. Not going to hold you to it. Like, I mean, the run-of-the-mill, normal run-of-the-mill top four in the last 5 years has been about 74 points. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that this season.
No, I think about 55, between 55 and 65 gets probably fourth. I think United are going to pick up silly points because they always do. And back in that mood where they just win ugly as well, aren't they? So
yeah. So you're talking maybe out of 45 points, we need to pick up 27, 28?
Yeah.
That's doable.
For Liverpool Football Club, it's doable.
Even on a shit acceptable. Liverpool, that's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, once we can find a way to start scoring goals and creating chances again, it's the one thing I suppose I'll say in the last few games, even the Newcastle game, Alisson he had a few saves to make, and they were just going hell for leather at once. I mean, we should have rattled 5 or 6 against them. We had more than enough chances to score plenty. and we just didn't take him. But tomorrow night, Courtney, what would your starting 11 look like?
Obviously Alisson in goal, Trent, Matip, but I do think Matip will come off for Canate probably quite early on in the second half. Virgil, Robertson, hopefully Robbo gets took off for Simi now. I just think midfield's the really awkward one at the minute. Like, I was shocked at the Palace one, so you could either go that way again, or I'd like to see Stefan start because I just think he's been our star player. Fabs and Hendo, and then Gakpo, Salah, Jota, because I just think Nunes he won't want to risk starting them right away after it.
Yeah, I mean, Dom, what would you change much different to that, or would you be in or around the same?
No, let me clear something up. I meant 65 before. At earliest 55. I've got the league table up on my left, and I read where City and that were, let's say 65 minimum. But yeah, what I'd start with, I'd probably go Ali, Trent, Virgil. I'll put Canate in. I don't care anymore. Get him in. We need it. I think there will be a few changes. Wouldn't surprise me to see Tsimikas, but I just don't think Klopp fancies it at the minute. So Robertson, Bajcetic, Henderson. I wouldn't play Bajcetic and Harvey in the centre of midfield because I think the experience and the talent that Wolves have got in the midfield will just overrun it. So I'd probably say Stefan as the deep, Henderson and Harvey or Fabinho. I don't know. It's the midfield's a mess, isn't it? We don't know what's going to happen. And then it's going to be Mo, Gakpo and Jota, I think.
Matt, how's your lineup looking?
I got a few changes from the last game. Alisson, Trent, Canate, I think will come right back in. I think he's just going to come right back in. Van Dijk, I think Tsimikas gets the game. Midfield three of Harvey, Fabinho, Bajcetic, and a front three of Mo Salah on the right, Jota through the middle, and Nunes on the left.
Ooh,
mad ones.
Do you think he'll play the two young ones?
Yeah.
At home, I think he might.
At this point, I mean, we tried the old boys the last game, and that did absolutely nothing. If we don't shoot ourselves in the foot, if we don't, kick the ball in off of their player or blind back pass to them, we've been pretty solid defensively. So it feels like we can afford to kind of go back to how we used to be, where it would just be like, Fabinho, you hang out with them, and these guys are all going to go forward and let's score some goals. So I'm trying to be positive because I'm going to predict a ridiculous score line, and it's going to end nil.
I don't know what he's got to do in midfield. I think Naby Keita's kicked his last ball for Liverpool, unless we
famous last words, Kev. Famous last words.
Unless we have a break class, unless we have a break class moment, and there's nobody else. I've never seen a player play a game for us, and he looked like he wanted to get sent off at stages, and that he just looked. He was gone. He's checked out, and half of it's, as a fan, half of it's my fault for expecting the world of him when we signed him. I expected the Leipzig player from the year that we were looking at him, not the Leipzig player the year when he knew he was coming. Look, he's just, he knows he's coming to us. He's just taking a year out with Leipzig. He wasn't really, was he? He was just like,
he put on one of the greatest shop window seasons ever.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Then we went and got him.
Yeah.
It's a shame though, because when you
there is a player there.
Yeah, when you seen him and at the Leipzig and even banging goals from everywhere, basically running midfield, running the Bundesliga central midfield. Everyone wanted him. And it just hasn't worked, has it? And I think the other day, I've called him every name under the sun in that game the other day. I don't think I could have found any other words than he used. I wanted to go to Palace and drag him off the pitch. Yeah, it was an embarrassment of a performance, and I think he has checked out.
I was amazed he managed to last 45. I honestly expected Klopp to.
He should have been off 35 minutes. We should have dragged him off, made a point of it. I know half time he did, but get him off at half time before half time.
I think he, being as it's at home, I can definitely see him playing Harvey, playing Stefan, and playing Fabinho. But I think what I can't remember, Matt was saying it, that you could have your two sitting and Harvey being the furthest one forward, or Harvey maybe drifting out onto the right and allowing Salah to come inside and being like a 10 to link with Gakpo. But I definitely think Núñez starts. Don't think Jota starts. I think the fact that he done the two 30s off the bench and the 60 that he started with, I think they'll probably take him out of the line of fire now for this one and maybe give him a sub appearance at the end. I think
Do you not think it's a bit of a risk bringing Núñez in tomorrow before Sunday?
No, because it wasn't a hamstring injury, it wasn't a leg injury or an ankle injury, it was a shoulder. And that's a case of that's either going to be right or it's not. And he won't know until he gets clattered. You know, until he gets a shoulder off of Adama Traore, or I guarantee you Semedo will put him on his arse and see how he handles it. Because even when he did it, it just looked like an impact. It definitely didn't look like he dislocated it because he was moving it around. Okay, and if you dislocate your shoulder, it's the most excruciating pain you will ever have in your life. I think
I'm just panicking a little bit that I don't think we can afford him to be injured for Sunday. That just worries me. That's all.
You were bumming Kanate into it, so fucking get him in, get him started.
Mate, we need him at the back. Get him in at the back. I'll have Kanate 20% injured.
Yeah, look, I just think that if you can get an hour out of Darwin Núñez on the left against Nelson Semedo, and the one positive I liked, and we said it on the post match here of Gakpo, his ability to come short and hold play up and bring others into play is getting better with every passing game. He's deceptively quick on the turn. He's strong and he's big. You know, he's good at. Here's the villain of the piece. There he is.
No, this is the other kitty. This is a nice kitty.
Oh,
yeah, I said that about the last one too.
I can't wait for the comments now.
Yeah, you wait. This is going to be perfect. Look, he's looking for the dog. He's out there. He's looking for the dog. But yeah, I think Darwin starts Gakpo, Salah. I think Salah needs to rocket up him at the minute because I don't think he's hiding in games, but I don't think he's putting himself out there either. And I think he's cheating too much. He was cheating 3 years ago when he had electric pace to burn people. He's not got that. His heat map on his pitch map is still the furthest forward. And we don't have the ability to cover him like we used to. And his goal drought in the league is crazy for someone of his ability. I think he's still on 8 goals for the season in the league. He's got 17 or 18 overall in the Premier League. Or sorry, in overall competitions because he's done a madness in the Champions League. But in the Premier League, he's really poor. His return is really poor. And we need goals. You know, it's the only way we're going to get 3 points is start turning goals. And as it stands at the minute, he's only 2 goals short of Robbie Fowler's Premier League record of 128. You know, it's mental that he's gonna go past Robbie Fowler, and he's gonna go past it having a shit season. You know, the guy is on a ridiculous level ability-wise. But for the last, I think even go back to the AFCON last year, he's just not been at the level that we need him at. If we're going to be looking at seriously getting back into the top 4 and even going forward next season and over the next 3 or 4 years, he's got to show up.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, he much as middle class. I just think he needs to do more, and it's frustrating me at the minute. It really is.
I'm with you totally on that one.
Yeah, because if we're going to stand any chance of getting into the top 4, we need to win. Like somebody up there was doing a little bit of math of looking at our home games and away games, but basically it comes down to we're probably going to need 30 to 36 points. 33 points. That's 11 wins. Draws are not good enough anymore at all. And that's why I think you're better off going for a lineup that gives you a little bit more attacking thrust going forward, even if it makes you susceptible at the back, because a 3-2 win that's fine. A 0-0 draw, we're done. 2-3 more draws, and we can completely write off the idea of making the Champions League next season.
Yeah, I agree, Matt.
Right, let's go with predictive scores and scorers for tomorrow night. Courtney?
Fuck.
3-1 us.
Good girl. Who's scoring?
Gakpo. Mo, because I think he's still in my fantasy team. I think I put him back in for the derby.
You're a stalwart. You're an absolute stalwart, I swear.
I pulled off in the derby. I captained him when he scored. I loved it. And Nunes, just because I love a Nunes goal.
Cool. Dom?
One
thing, actually, I wanted to ask both of you. Let me just come back to Courtney one sec. Do you think the 3-0 is still in our lads' heads? Do you think they're built that way? Because it's so recent, and the backlash that they got from it for that 12 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because there's been a bit going on since then, it's maybe changed. I hope Newcastle and the Everton games have sort of just not wiped the head completely, because then we've had Palace and Real Madrid since, but I hope it's given them a bit more confidence, a bit more belief that they can go in and get like the better results. But as I've said all season, you don't know who will turn up when we're playing at the minute.
That's a scary thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dom, do you think that when I said about built that way, that it'd be in their heads, that they'll want to really put a performance in and show them that it was a one-off?
I'd love to agree. I just don't think the mentality is as good and as strong as it was. So have they got it in them to be like, come on, let's do this? We owe these one. I can't see it. However, I'd love to be wrong, and I'd love us to go out and roll them. But I don't know. It's hard to predict, isn't it? Because one week we look like we're back. The next week we immediately get put back, where we belong right now in the season. So, yeah, I don't know. If anyone can get it out of them, it's Klopp. If anyone can wind them up to absolutely nail these tomorrow, it's Klopp. So, I think we'll see tomorrow, but I don't think that the result's in the head. I think we need to just focus on ourselves at the moment, focus on where we need to be, and focus on getting the wins rather than let's get these back, because we do that with Madrid every year and look where we end up.
True that.
I think,
go on, give us a score and the scorers, mate.
I'm going to go with a 3-0 win. I'm going to go with a Gakpo, Salah, and depending on who's on the left, Nunes or Jota for the other.
Okay, Matt.
I like that.
You said you were going to go into madness. So.
Yeah, a relative madness. I've really had to rein myself in the last couple of weeks because we keep just not even getting close to my score line. So I'm going to be a little bit more conservative here. I'm going to say 4-1 to Liverpool. Nunes, Virgil, and 2 from Mo.
Okay, cool.
Love the positivity.
That'll be my penance for forgetting. This was going to be the week I was going to put my Liverpool guys back in my FPL, and I absolutely spaced on that Wolves Fulham game on Friday. I saw the message in the Telegram, and it was 5 minutes to an hour before the game, and the app was already updating. It was just like, no. So my captain Holland is doing a lot of heavy lifting for me this week.
Well, I think 2-0. I think we win it. I want to see another clean sheet. I think the confidence that getting clean sheets gives you, and it takes the pressure off the forwards, knowing that one goal is enough. Any more that you can get is a bonus. But I want to get back to that side that when you went one up, it didn't matter who you were playing. When you went one up, they're mentally broken. And it's going to take a long, long time to get back to that. That's where we were 2 years ago. That it's a side turn up at Anfield and they went one down. It was like, let's just sit in and try not to get battered 5 or 6 here. But I think all of that starts with clean sheets. And the more you can build that, the more you can get to stages where 1 goal's enough. 1 goal's 3 points. Doesn't matter if you score 1 or score 5, 3 points. We saw with Bournemouth. Doesn't matter how many you get. I'd rather 5 1-0 wins than 1 5-0 win. And it's
the 5-0
it's hard.
United though, because that's pretty good.
Tomatoes. Yeah, look, it would be absolutely incredible. But let's get tomorrow night out the way first. Anything else for anyone else, Matt?
No, just I'm on with you tomorrow doing the full-time Reds after the game. So, yippee! We've been having a ball so far this season. So
we're due a win, man. We're due a win.
Yeah, and then Gav and I are kind of coming up with something fun to do on Thursday for the viewer's voice. Maybe go to Pretend Land a little bit and start thinking about the summer because it's getting kind of hard to think about our current woes. So check that out. But other than that, it's just another day, another Liverpool game. They're coming hot and quick. And then next thing we know, it'll be a bloody international break, and I'll have to figure out what to do for 2.5 weeks. I got to start making a quiz, I guess.
Dom, what have you been up to anyway in the last couple of weeks since you've been on last? You've been keeping busy?
The podcast's really busy at the moment. So doing a weekly show, getting people in and out. I've had Courtney on. That's due to be out soon. It was literally 2 days ago we recorded, and we were like, "Oh, no, it was last night, wasn't it?"
Yeah.
And we were like, "Oh, I'm on the Daytrippers tomorrow." And she was like, "So am I." And so it was busy with the recordings, weekly reviews. I tend to feel like I'm doing more editing on the podcast than I'm doing work. So yeah, it's a job out of a job, as you said, Kev. Keeping busy. I'm in a fantastic mood one day and I'm in a shit mood the next because Liverpool are playing every other day. So, keeping busy, but staying alive.
Good lad. And Courtney, you're going tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm going. I'm in my dad's seat, so I'm going to be up in the gods in the upper main. There'll be a vlog from that, and then
brilliant.
Still unsure if I'll be in the ground on Sunday, but either way, there'll be a vlog of the atmosphere around Anfield before then.
How are you finding it this season as compared to the last few years? It must be more difficult this time around.
Yeah, definitely, and you're getting a lot more, as you probably see it as well on your channel, you're getting a lot more negativity on your videos, which it's bound to happen, but it is a bit frustrating sometimes when you're coming out the ground and you're trying to figure out what to say, like a bit positive about the performance. And especially, I just remember that Leicester game just after Christmas. That was like, we won, but you came out of it feeling like it was a defeat.
Yeah, it was like you come out of it like I need a bath. It was just one of those, wasn't it? It's like, you just feel all kinds of wrong for taking 3 points off him, but then you remember it was Brendan, so it's okay.
I'm having a pint with Gav on Saturday. He's over in Liverpool for the United game.
Oh, is he?
So,
wicked.
Yeah, I might either end up in the Mersey or I might end up on a 5-day bender with Gav. So you may
I'm
never see me again.
I'm going to try and pop down for that as well. So I'll see you there.
Oh, brilliant. God help you. Listen, everyone in the chat, thanks very much for being there as usual. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Please hit the like button. Don't forget the charity. The link is in the description for the 12 women from Ashburn GA Club who are running the Dublin City Marathon in October. It's for breast cancer awareness. If you can donate, please do. If you can't, grab the link, share it on your socials, share it into your WhatsApp groups, and just get the message out there. We'll be back tomorrow night, myself and Matt, for a post-match review, God willing, of a win. And loads of shit coming up every night this week. There's going to be shows every night this week. And we'll be back. Less than 24 hours. It'll be over.
Yeah.
It'll be done. It's not on TV in the UK, which is shit. So
Wow.
we're just going to have to get creative, but we'll get creative too. Don't worry about it.
Such
Anyway.
is funny, guys.
Thanks very much for joining us, and we will see you guys real soon. Take care. Good night.